welcome to autoimmunity.in. This is our next episode of Autoimmunity Connects. Autoimmunity.in is a platform where people with autoimmune diseases and their caregivers can connect, share, and inspire each other through true inspiring stories. We thought we'd do something a little different today, and we're going to bust some myths on immunity, and we're going to discuss autoimmunity during these corona times. We have with us again today Dr. Suvrat Arya, who's a rheumatologist and a clinical immunologist at his clinic, Dr. Arya's Care in Delhi NCR. Hi, Dr. Suvrat.
Hello.
It's good to have you back on our show today. Let me start with a very simple question that a lot of us have. What is the immune system?
Okay. So immune system, we have already discussed in previous sessions. I will just tell in brief again. Immune system is like an army of a country which fights against the intruders. For our body, these intruders are bacteria, viruses, and fungi. So this army of our immune cells protects us from these invading pathogens or pathological microorganisms. Immune system is not a tangible system like liver or stomach. It is composed of various organs and various cells which circulate in our blood, and also they are present in our tissues. So for example, all of us have heard of the word tonsils, which are present in our throat. Most of us have had tonsillitis in childhood. So tonsils are one of the immune organs in which immune cells live. And immune cells are also circulating throughout the blood, catching and killing bacteria and viruses and fungi. They also secrete certain chemical agents like antibodies and cytokines, which are soluble in the blood, and they attack and kill these bacteria and viruses. So it is a mix of these molecules, these cells, and these organs which are spread throughout our body.
Yes. So that's why it's called a system, and it's because it doesn't depend on a single organ or a single component in the body. There are multiple components that are acting together to build an immune system. So as we are here today, we talk about people with autoimmune diseases. Now, what is autoimmunity? Because there is a lot of misunderstanding, as far as what immunity is versus what autoimmunity is.
Okay. So let us go back to the same example as the army of the country. Suppose due to some reason, some part of this army starts recognizing its own citizens as foreign intruders and starts killing them. And the same analogy happening in our body is autoimmunity. So when the immune system becomes dysfunctional, that is, it is not able to perform its normal function properly, it starts in recognizing our own self, our cells or our proteins as foreign and starts damaging them, then an autoimmunity sets in. And the autoimmune disease is the manifestation of this disease depend on which organ is getting targeted. For example, in rheumatoid, it is the joints predominantly which are affected. And in autoimmune hemolytic anemia, it is the red blood cells. So depending on what cell or tissue is being damaged, there is the name for that autoimmune disease.
Right. So this misconception that when a person has an autoimmune disease, it is the malfunctioning of the immune system is correct. But the understanding that the immune system is under functioning is not correct. In fact, it is the reverse, where the immune system is over functioning or is over aggressive, or basically the government has decided that we are going to catch every foreign body without a visa, without a visa in the body, and we are going to throw them out. That's essentially what's happening. It's great to know this because a lot of people have this severe misunderstanding of what having an autoimmune disease is, or the fact that, what is autoimmunity. Now that we've cleared that out, does this mean that the more active your immune system is, the healthier you're going to be, or is it the absolute reverse?
Okay. So I would say there is a very fine balance of having a healthy immune system. If you have immunodeficiency, which is a separate group of diseases in which you are predisposed to repeated infections, most of these immunodeficiencies can present in early childhood or early adulthood. And on the other hand, you have an overactive immune system in which the immune system triggers to uh, very non-threatening stimulus like dust or pollen. All of us must have heard about allergic rhinitis, in
Right.
which a person who has exposure to dust and keeps on sneezing throughout the day, or people who have atopic dermatitis, in which they have skin rash by coming in contact with some metal and some cosmetic. So people say they are allergic to that. So having a suppressed immune system predisposes you to infections, and having an overactive or hypersensitive immune system predisposes to developing hypersensitivity reactions, or on the other extreme, it could be autoimmunity. So you have to have a good, healthy immune system, which is neither suppressed and nor very overactive. So having a overactive immune system doesn't mean you are healthy. It may be actually a trigger to a disease.
Right. Um, so if I'm having an overactive immune system, or I am having a regular healthy immune system, does this level of immunity, or the immunity levels in a person, does that sort of change with age?
Yes. With aging, our immune system becomes weaker. That is a known fact, and there is a lot of research which has proved this. We have also seen that elderly people are at more risk of developing pneumonias. That is why we have elderly vaccination. There are elderly people who are more risk of developing herpes zoster. Many of people would have known that their grandparents might have developed herpes in later in life when they actually had it earlier in life also. So with age, our immunity wanes. And when this immunity wanes, you are at risk of developing diseases by infectious agents. And the risk of autoimmune diseases conversely decreases because
Mm.
the immune system is lesser active. So having an autoimmune disease, which means a overactive immune system, the probability of that will go down.
This you're referring to the beginning of an autoimmune disease. But what if a person is already diagnosed with an autoimmune disease? What is the understanding with related to age in that?
Okay, so yeah, many of the diseases usually have a defined natural history. In most of the people, these autoimmune diseases are lifelong. Despite their immunity becoming weaker with age, doesn't mean that those diseases will completely disappear, because that that integral part of the dysfunctional immune system stays. But
Yeah.
yes, around 10 to 15% of people may outgrow their autoimmune illness with age, but that is very hard to predict at the onset when they have beginning of the autoimmune disease.
Right. So one should not take as age as a very significant factor in either getting a disease or being cured of a disease,
Yeah.
in as far as autoimmune diseases are concerned.
Yes.
We are also, as people living with autoimmune diseases, we are often told that we should maintain a healthy level of exercise, a specific diet. We should manage our weight better. What do you have to say about that?
Okay. See, exercise and diet are very essential for a healthy lifestyle for anyone. But scientifically, it has been proven that exercise is good to help your immune system function normally. So is a good balanced diet. If
Right.
you are malnourished, you may be immunosuppressed, you may be at increased risk of developing infections.
Mm.
But on the other hand, if you are diabetic, you are obese, your blood sugar levels are higher, then it can be other way around also, because that means your immune system may not be working well, because obesity also has been seen that you may be at increased risk of developing some infections. Some studies have also shown that autoimmune diseases are related to obesity, like psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis. So I would end up by saying this, that regular exercise, healthy dieting is very essential to have a healthy immune system. It can go anyway. It can have a predisposing factor for developing an autoimmune disease, and it may also be a deterrent for normal function of immune system.
Right. Uh, Now, when we spoke about a healthy diet, again, so many people want to get into these various kinds of diets that are, in fashion or in fad, and they want to self-impose and self-diagnose or self-monitor these diets on themselves. Some of which are, the paleo diet, the keto diet, or the vegan diet. How important or significant are these diets in managing your autoimmune disease?
Okay. So again, I would say there is no scientific evidence to show that one particular diet is better or the other particular diet is bad for autoimmune illnesses. We just know that we have to take a balanced diet, which is a healthy diet. If you are diabetic, you are taking too much of carbs or too much of sugar, your diabetic status will be uncontrolled and you will have a bad immunity. That means your normal immune response won't be there, because if you have high sugars, your immune cells cannot function normally. They cannot function well. Similarly, if you have an autoimmune illnesses, adding certain things in your diet which are known to have anti-inflammatory properties may be beneficial. So these are antioxidants and omega-3 fatty acids,
Right.
and to some extent curcumin, which is present in our turmeric and lot of other Indian spices as well.
Yes.
So what I would say is maintain a good, healthy, balanced diet with good consumption of these components which are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, curcumin, and antioxidants.
So it's not necessary to get into these really expensive to maintain diets. I think if we stick to a healthy food pattern and fresh foods, lots of greens, and of course, just don't do it without getting sort of a medical practitioner or someone who knows their way around this stuff to tell you what might work better for you if you are living with an autoimmune disease and if you're trying to manage it better. Uh,
Right. Absolutely.
this is about the physical elements. In addition to this, a lot of us are taking supplements, so pills, and there are lots of pharma companies and non-pharma companies also that promote all these supplements that uh, they claim will boost your immunity or will help you be more immune, and this is being discussed at length these days. What is
Yeah.
your take on this?
Okay. So firstly, I would address that is it possible to boost the immunity or not, and what do we mean by that? See, suppose if you have an immunity arbitrary figure X. So if your diet is not healthy, you are obese, your lifestyle is lethargic, you don't exercise, you do smoking, or you consume too much of alcohol, your immunity may go down. If you are deficient in essential nutrients and minerals, your immunity may go down to X minus, suppose, let's say Y. So by removing these harmful factors from your life, removing smoking, alcohol, doing good exercise, removing lethargic lifestyle, and if you are deficient in these nutrients and minerals, taking them in may take your immune response or immunity again back to level X. But if you are healthy and you have immunity figure X, you cannot increase from X to X plus Y or X plus Z or X plus 4 by taking these supplements. So this whole business of selling things in the name of immune boosters is actually not true. It may be true for someone who is quite deficient nutritionally in these aspects, and replenishment of these factors may help him regain his normal immunity. But if you are a healthy person with normal immunity, taking these is not going to make it double, triple, or any number of times of your immunity. It will just be your own immunity which was there earlier.
Right. So this is a very interesting thing that you brought out,
Yeah.
because we've discussed at length offline also about the fact that building your immunity is a good thing, to be maintaining it at a healthy level through exercise, weight, diet management, and we've discussed this a little earlier. That's a good thing. But every person is born with a level of immunity, and it does not. There's really truly no way by eating supplements to take it to an extra level that does not exist in your body. Um, That's a very interesting and a very relevant myth, I think, that we've busted today. Uh, we've discussed now, this is all the physical element of what one should do, what one should eat, how one should manage their illness better. There is a great section about psychological stress being a very huge contributor to having or developing an autoimmune disease. A lot of the times, our doctors also tend to tell us that we really don't know where you got this autoimmune illness from, but anyone who's been in a highly stressful situation tends to develop this. You know, how far is this true, and how does psychological stress play a role in autoimmune diseases?
Yeah. So as far as having a flare of a known autoimmune disease is there, stress has been known to play an important factor. We have seen for psoriasis, for some other diseases, in fact, like lupus, immense psychological stress or physical stress or mental stress has been known to cause flare up of diseases. So taking the graph little backwards, maybe it can be said that too much of a stress may be harbinger to develop an autoimmune disease, but we don't have too much of scientific data to back this, that stress itself can cause onset of the autoimmune illness. But yes, it can definitely cause flare up of various autoimmune diseases. So that is why tackling stress is very, very important if a person has autoimmune illness.
Right. Wow, that's another great myth that's busted, because there's so much material that is available for general reading, and which tends to lean towards giving you the impression that if you have an autoimmune disease, you've developed it because you were in a highly stressful situation at some point in time, and you know that's what sort of got you there, which is not true. You have developed an autoimmune disease because you have a certain component in your body that needs to be taken extra care about, and it's gotten haywire, and you need to fix it. And that you can't do on your own. You need a medical practitioner to help you through it. Now, there are so many ways to manage this stress: yoga, meditation, acupressure, uh, an alternate medicines that are available, or alternate lifestyle therapies that are available to help with an autoimmune disease. Are these, how far do they go to um, sustain a healthy level of your immune system?
Yeah. Yeah, for autoimmune illnesses, these yoga, meditation, they have a very good and important role. Yoga has been a part of Indian culture for many ages now, and the West is realizing its importance now. Not only yoga, the other art forms like Tai Chi, which is from the Chinese descent,
Yes.
and other forms of meditation, in fact pranayam also, they have very important role because all of these have been found to stimulate parasympathetic nervous system, which has an anti-inflammatory role. Deep breathing exercise also stimulates parasympathetic nervous system, and this stimulation of parasympathetic nervous system has known to play some amount of anti-inflammatory role. It also releases endorphins in our brain, which gives a sense of well-being. After doing exercise, the person with an autoimmune disease, or if person has arthritis, feels confident that yes, he can do. And
Yeah.
this sense of well-being is very important to fight this chronic illness, which is autoimmune illnesses.
So more than the physical element, or rather, and equal to the physical element and the contribution of positivity through chemicals in the body, the frame of mind of a person also tends to improve because of these chemicals being released in the body. And thus, it helps a person living with an autoimmune illness to be able to manage it better. Generally, life feels better. You're able to feel healthier. And that's the reason why yoga and meditation is often recommended to people who are living with autoimmune diseases. Uh,
Right.
so that's really brilliant. Some of these things are relevant, some have not been relevant, some are. Uh, what is really relevant today is the corona pandemic, or COVID as we know it, in and what we're living with today. As a person living with an autoimmune disease, I am wearing my face mask. I am maintaining social distancing. I am sanitizing myself often enough. I am also ensuring that a good level of ventilation is there in whichever place that I am in. Having done all of this, does this put me at a greater risk of getting COVID?
Okay. So catching the virus, the coronavirus, maybe it is not related to your autoimmune illness because a person who is not doing these protective measures is anyway at increased risk of catching the virus. If a person is following all these protective measures, and that person is at decreased risk of catching the virus. Now, what happens after getting the virus into your system may be different in a normal person as compared to person who has an autoimmune illness. See, when the virus gets into our system, our immune system recognizes it and tries to damage it, tries to kill the virus.
Hmm.
If I'll go a little bit in more detail, how coronavirus illness leads to morbidity and mortality. Once the virus is there inside our cells, in the lung epithelial cells, it multiplies and it comes out, and then it enters more cells, and then the cascade continues and it starts infecting more and more cells. When our immune cells come into the lungs, they try to damage those cells which are infected with the coronavirus.
Yes.
So the initial the stimulus for the immune cells to kill the virus sometimes may go overboard, and these immune cells then start damaging all the cells which are infected with coronavirus, or the adjacent cells also, due to collateral damage by an immune response.
Right.
So most of these patients who are very sick in ICU or on ventilator, they are given immunosuppressive therapies. It may sound little alarming to people that you have a person who is infected with virus, and for his treatment you are giving something to suppress the immunity. So this is the dichotomy, or the disconnect between the thought that we think that the virus kills. No, the virus infects, the immune system starts killing the cell which are infected with the virus, and in this process it damages whole lot of cells and causes some collateral damage also, which leads on to the morbidity and mortality. That is why there is role of hydroxychloroquine, steroids, biologicals like tocilizumab, and very few antivirals exist. Most of the treatment are the immunosuppressive ones, not the antivirals ones.
Right.
So this is the state right now till we get a vaccine. But for autoimmune patient may be on immunosuppressive therapy. So the initial spurt of immune response to control the virus may be inhibited. That is why if a person of autoimmune disease gets the coronavirus, we may have to stop or change the medicines till the symptoms are controlled. So because of this thing, these patients may be at a little higher risk of developing the symptoms or the complications of this coronavirus infection.
Right. So, if I was to understand all this that you discussed in detail, simply put, if I am a person living with an autoimmune disease, it does not put me at a greater risk of getting the illness. I am at an equal amount of risk like any average other person. And if I'm in a situation, I will, with another average person, it's the likelihood is the same that I would attract it or I would not attract it, or I would get it or I would not get it. But the huge differentiating factor is the aftermath of what
Yes.
happens to a regular person as well as a person who's living with an autoimmune disease.
Yes.
The immune system is already at an override for a person living with an autoimmune disease. So the response that is also at an override of an autoimmune person living with an autoimmune disease, and hence puts him at a more sensitive or a more riskier situation to be able to get out of it as much as another person.
Right.
That's a great thing to understand, because a lot of us fear this in our head, that because I am already having an existing immune system problem or autoimmunity, they are fearing. which is a great thing to understand the differentiator that in this whole thing. Um, that also means that if I was to, since the lockdown is, opening up, if I was to travel around, what is the kind of extra risk that I, as a person living with autoimmune diseases, would face? Is
Okay.
it putting me at a
So,
greater risk? Not necessarily.
yeah, I would say avoid all unnecessary travels. That is the most important thing, and
Yeah,
it is not for only for
yeah,
people with
that's for
autoimmune
everyone.
diseases. It is for everyone. Even if you have to travel, you have to follow all the guidelines given by the local governing authorities: wearing a mask, maintaining social distance, cleaning your hands frequently.
Yeah.
Now, what I see is when people are traveling and they are meeting and talking to each other, they lower the mask, considering that there is no audible.
Yeah.
So that has to be stopped, because when we speak, the droplets which are coming out of our mouth are
Trans-
much more than when we were breathing.
mm,
I have seen a lot of people who keep their mask at this level. So their lips are covered, but nose is exposed. And you are breathing air through your nose. So our nose and mouth has to be covered appropriately at all the times with a good fitting mask. So I would say avoid all unnecessary travel. Follow these guidelines of wearing a mask, maintaining social distance, and good hand hygiene. That is what is necessary.
great. It's so good to have you with us over this video call. And that brings me to the next question that a lot of doctors have today, for specifically for people living with autoimmune diseases. This has become a boon that we are able to reach out to our doctors and our medical practitioners over video call. We were able to take maintenance advice, at least, and consultations. Uh, and that puts us at a lesser risk of having to be in an environment like a hospital or a clinic, where the probability of somebody who's ill, if not with corona, with something else, and putting ourselves at a greater risk in whichever manner. This telemedicine has proved to be a great boon. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah. I would say we have realized it very late, the potential of telemedicine, and it took a pandemic for us to realize that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not aware about other countries, but in India, telemedicine was legalized only after this corona pandemic came. So it is very, very important. Like for rheumatologists, when most of us are concentrated in cities and metros, people living in peripheries don't have access to specialized care. And a
Yes.
lot of people travel from those areas to our setups, be it a tertiary care government center or be it a multi-speciality hospitals.
Hmm.
So all these people have to travel sometimes days together to reach to a doctor and then see them. If you have seen the patient first time physically, then I think the follow-up visit can be very well done on a teleconsultation if the patient is not developing any new symptoms which need urgent physical attention
Mhm.
to be present physically there. So, having said that, I have felt that this telemedicine is a big boon for all of us. I have done telemedicine for a lot of patients now who have been follow up and not able to see because either they are not able to come or we are not able to go to them in our peripheral clinics. So it is a big boon, definitely.
Wow. So here today, we have busted many myths on immunity, autoimmunity, certain things that we tend to take from general reading. We tend to feel that it's going to help us manage our autoimmune diseases better. Dr. Suvrat, I cannot once again thank you enough for sparing your valuable time to clarify and to bust some important myths for us. We hope to see you soon again with another session. I'd like to sign off by saying that don't forget to share, like, and comment. Let us know what you want to see in the future at autoimmunity.in. And this would help us greatly in building awareness for people living with autoimmune diseases, build awareness about autoimmune diseases, and in the future also be able to generate some interest more interest towards these illnesses, and be able to reach out to more people and give them the great amount of support that they need. Thank you very much, Dr. Suvrat, once again for being with us.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Bye.